Hey guys, Craig here again. Time for a quick update on the M1070. As you can see now, it's really starting to take shape. I've got most of the painting done. I've got or pretty much most of the weathering done as well. Still a couple of little bits here and there I need to do. A bit of streaking here and there. I've got some more pigments and some sort of like grit and just general dirt to go on it yet. But in essence, this is how she's looking now. So as you can see, I've gone for the two-tone colour scheme. I've got the NATO camo bonnet and the NATO camo chassis rails and all that sort of stuff. All the wheels and everything all weathered up now and looking pretty good. Decals are on in all the right places. Mirrors are on. All the decals on the front are done. All the little orange amber lights have been put in place now and tidied up. I've got the mud flaps on now. If you remember back to the last update, the little photo etch bracket that I had here that I'd stuck down flat, used an X-Acto knife, chopped it off, bent it, and I've managed to actually use the piece that that I was supposed to have bent in the first place. But anyway, managed to do that successfully on both sides, so I've now managed to get the mud flaps on. All the lenses and everything are on the rear lights now, and it's just generally coming along pretty nicely. There's the grease on the fifth wheel again. That's now all dry where it was wet before, if you remember. You can't really tell on the camera, but it's got all the pigments and all the dust and everything going on the top. It generally looks a lot grimier in the flesh than it does on the camera. That might be a better angle so you can see the dirt and everything on the roof accumulating. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the truck. So it's coming along nicely. Not much left to do on the old M1070. And then that bad boy will be done. So moving on then, whilst everything's been drying with the truck, I've started on the trailer. And I've actually jumped forward quite a bit, so you just have to bear with me. So I've done the swan neck. That's all dry now. I've stopped at this point for a reason. There's a load of photo etch and a load of tubes that you've got to connect. See all these where's my X-Acto gone? All these little airlines here. Let's get a better angle. All these airlines here. Same on this side here. These all connect to rubber tubes. There's 4 that come off of the 2 pistons at this point. They go underneath. They go down the swan neck, down here, through this gap here. And then they attach up to these airlines up here. And then all of these go off into various places and that. So I'm leaving the tube in until I'm in a better frame of mind to do that. And then the photo etch goes over the top, which is the steps, which, looking at the diagram, they're movable, so you can have them down, lift them up, have them down, whatever. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the swan neck at the minute. A couple of nice touches though is the pistons and that, they actually work. So you could have the swan neck down, have it up, down. So you'd use down if it's on the back of the truck. It lowers the trailer down for loading or whatever. And if you're going off into transport to drive it away, pistons up and it lifts the front of the trailer up. Okay. I'm not entirely sure at this point. The pistons do work. They move in and out. And it pushes and pulls. You can't really see it, but there's a bracket under there. It pushes and pulls that bracket. Which I presume, in the real thing, moves this around that gap there. But at the minute, it doesn't actually move anything or anywhere. Although it says on the instructions, if you look, make 2, no cement. Oh no, that's the wrong pistons. My bad. Where is it? It's over here somewhere. On here. If you look, it tells you making this part, no cement, no cement. You leave this all uncemented so the pistons can move in and out. That glues underneath, and I presume on the real thing, when that's pushing and pulling, it would move that bracket around on the fifth wheel to adjust the swan neck. So once it's in place and you've glued the piece down, it doesn't actually move anywhere. So hey ho. But anyway, dealing with the swan neck up to the part I'm at, it's very, very Billy basic. It's very easy. There's nothing exceedingly strenuous about the whole task. But for me, this is where it starts to get strenuous. This is showing you the different coloured airlines, or the different airlines that you need to run, coming off the two pistons we were talking about, through the gap I've just shown you, and up the back end. Okay, so I've got 2 with a swan neck. I've got to step 3 with a swan neck, and that's where I've stopped. And the reason for that is I'm just not in the frame of mind to start messing about rubber tubes and photo etch steps and all these other little finicky, intricate little detailing on that trailer. What I'm trying to decide is if it's actually worth doing the tubing at all if you've got the steps down, because you can't see anything and the trailer's going to be on the back of the truck, so you're not actually going to see this anyway. The only way you're going to see any of these airlines is if you have the steps up, and as you can see, it's in 2 places and they open out for maintenance or whatever. So I'm just debating whether I'm going to bother with those airlines or not, because you're not going to see them on my build anyhow. So what I've initially done, I've missed the rest of the swan neck, and then I've gone on to actually making the load bed of the trailer. Something I've noticed with this, and it's a really cool feature, all these swivel points here that go down the centre spine of the trailer, they all interconnect with little rods, which I'll show you in a minute, but none of this is glued. You glue it to the actual spine, but all the pivots and the pistons, again, you don't glue them. As you can see up here, no cement, no cement, no cement, and you pretty much just clip it all together and glue it into the centre spine. And then you get onto these parts here, you connect all of the little pivots with the rods, then you put the top plates on, and the reason is you move one wheel and all of the axles move together. I'll show you that in a second. These pieces, it isn't really a good diagram to show you how they attach, but on here these holes actually clip on to these pieces here. Okay, so you've got to line those up with the holes, and then it clamps the whole assembly together. And then it's got little clips that these actually sit on, because if you try and follow the diagrams here where they fit, you can end up knocking these pieces off or getting it misaligned, and then your steering axles won't actually move. So just bear that in mind, that these pieces here, Q31, actually slots onto the top of the M3 pieces, M2, R33, and it's a good guide on how that works, but nothing too emotional at that point. I've also gone ahead and completed this stage, which is doing the deck, attaching the centre spine and the metal axle, attaching the rear bumper for the lights. That's all complete. Again, that's very basic stuff, nothing strenuous about that. These pieces are pretty easy to do as well. These pieces here proved to be slightly interesting. If you look at the actual piece itself, you put the bow shackle on the top, and you've got to be really careful with these that you don't snap them, because if you look on the actual piece, what I'm talking about on Q28, this here, the bow shackle slides up and down on it, so you can't glue them. Okay, you leave them, you just clip them on, and they can adjust up and down. But these pieces here, this piece here with these feet, when it comes to showing you how to fit them onto the trailer, it shows you there, there, and here, but it doesn't really give you a good diagram. If you look at the piece that I'm on about, this this little tab here, when you look at the actual trailer when you're fitting them, there's actually cut out pieces. So you can just see that one in there. That tab locks onto there and then it glues straight across. Same with this one. You've got the tab there, glues straight across. This one is back to front. The tab's on this side. Drop it in, glue it across, job's a fish. Exactly the same process for the other side, but it doesn't actually tell you to do that in the instructions. So when you're doing it, where it says, let's just go up here, it says make 6. It shows you how to do one side of the trailer, and then you just mimic that on the other side. Okay, because the next page is a different set of instructions altogether. Make sure that when you glue the spine in place that you get it dead center and then it sits perfect on the runners, because these bracing supports going across need to clip in, and this piece here is actually angled slightly and it sits just under the hole above the axles. If it's slightly off skew, these pieces don't fit. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Rear legs, nothing to worry about there. That's all self-explanatory. I haven't glued mine in, so they keep falling out at the minute. So, like I said, I'm not too sure how I'm going with it yet. On here, something to point out. It shows you PE SB3, PE SC5, and then it's got PE SB14, and then you've got your clear part to go on there. Okay, up here it tells you PE SB13, PE SC5, and if you follow the arrows, it's telling you to stick them on this area here. When in actual fact, it's showing you that you put those pieces here. These two pieces up here are here. Look, it doesn't actually give you a decent diagram or an explanation. Okay, so just bear that in mind, that this whole corner is equating to this. Okay, all of this here is equating to the two PE pieces there. These pieces, you slot the bow shackle through this piece, and when you put this up the right way around, the bow shackles are supposed to be dangling vertically down because of the weight. I tacked mine in, so it looks as though mine are actually stuck a little bit and they're kind of kinked up. So I didn't glue mine. I tacked them a little tiny bit of glue just to stick them in, because it can be fiddly getting them into the gaps on the end of these runners here. Okay, nothing emotional on the back end. I've left the bow shackles off at this point, otherwise they get lost or broken, and that is generally where I'm at with this build at the minute. As you can see, there's some hosing that you need to do coming off the pistons on both sides. It shows you here the opposite side, and it's telling you to do basically exactly the same layout on both sides at the same point. Okay. What else can I tell you about with this? I need to stick R31 on yet. I haven't quite done that. And I haven't done the airlines. And then from there it goes on to starting to make the bogies for the wheels. But as you can see from this, it's got working suspension. It's got a spring and everything in it. Quite why they've gone to this level and putting springs and working suspension on the trailer, but they haven't done the same for the truck. They could have given you softer airbags, so you could have adjusted the suspension. They could have maybe used springs in between the airbags, so it's got that springiness to it. They maybe could have done something better for the front suspension, but I don't see why they've gone to all this effort for the trailer, but left the truck with just standard suspension. So to show you anyhow everything that I've done, this is where I'm at with it. So as you can see on the sides here, that's how the PE pieces should look. If I can focus it in, there you go. It's exactly the same on the opposite side, so just mimic it. That top one there is slightly bent, but anyhow, as you can see, what I was saying about those bow shackles when they sit in, mine are slightly angled out because they're tacked. Some of them are facing downwards. Oh, that's the legs falling out, look. I told you I didn't do them in. Let's just take them out. Now the bow shackles I was telling you about, the tie down points here. So as you can see, or not because it's not in focus, you can move the bow shackles around, have them down if you're going to have this in like nothing on the back, or if you're going to use it for tie down for various vehicles, you can lift them up. Okay, so all of those, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, just make sure you don't glue them unless you're 100% certain you want them up or you want them down. Back end of the trailer then, it's got all the lights and everything on. It's got the rear bumper on. On this side, it's ready for the Swan neck to go on. It's got a few little pieces, brackets on the end. As you can see on these tanks here, the little clips holding the tanks onto the actual trailer. And then there's ducting and tubing that comes off of here, runs into here somewhere. The 8-wheel steer, what I was trying to explain to you just now, if you've done it correctly, you should be able to twist one and then all 8 or all 4 should move. So you've got plenty of option there to how you want your wheels. Just bearing in mind that if you turn one, they're all going to turn, which I think is pretty cool. I like that feature. And that's pretty much where I'm at. It's got all the little airlines ready to go in, or on even. It's just going to be a case of attaching the tubing from there to there, from here to there, etc, etc. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the build at the minute then. To give you some idea of scale of the size of the trailer, if I can get this clipped in, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, I don't think. Oh, might do. So that's the trailer, and that's pretty much going to be the length of it. If you're wondering how big it is, so it's going to be a massive thing. So if you take it as the length of the truck, and then you've got the Swan neck as well. If you're wondering how big it is for space or whatever, that's what you're looking at. It's a massive trailer. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to crack on and maybe get that little piece up here that I haven't done. R31, I think it was. I'll get that bit put in a second. And then I'll start on doing these bogies and getting this done. And I'll leave the ducting for now. And then, well, I'm not going to get away from it, am I? Because the rest of the bogies, it's all airlines and all sorts of stuff going on there. Then it's showing you how the bogies sit in the trailer. More airlines. Finishing off the bogies, and then it's wheels and tyres, which I've already done. As you can see, all the wheels and that are all painted. They're all glossed, ready for weathering. The tyres have all been oil washed. They're all drying and that. So I'm a little bit ahead on that one. All different types of colours of wheels and that in there. So I've saved a little bit of time and effort on that. So the next update will probably be, I don't know, maybe around 13 maybe, or maybe 14, 15, something like that. Then I'll get back to you. So again, guys, any questions, any comments, anything you want to ask, or anything you want to know, or if I haven't covered something thoroughly enough, or just a little bit confused at how a piece goes up to this point, then give us a shout in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for your time again, and I'll speak to you later. Night now.